前段时间我不是拍了一个视频吗？
Some time ago, I posted a video saying that I was finally leaving the nightlife behind. I had opened my own small business, gathered all my courage to start something new, something clean, something mine. But the truth is that after only 3 days of operation, everything collapsed. To this day, I don't even know exactly what went wrong. I just know it shut down. And it's been over 3 months now, 3 months drifting around, trying to stay afloat, and honestly, I'm exhausted. I really wanted to change my life. Truly. But surviving isn't simple. If I stay still, I have no income. If I move to another city, I have to restart everything from zero, a place to live, routines, the environment, getting used to new streets and new people, everything. And that's exhausting too. The adult world is full of choices that hurt. And in my case, none of the choices seem to save me. You all know I've always worked in nightclubs, right? As a hostess, as a nightclub girl, call it whatever you want. I did that for more than 2 years. And for a long time, it worked. I was young, I drew attention, I had regular clients, and I made good money. There were nights when I earned 500, 600, even 1,000 reais. It was easy, quick, and I thought it would last forever. But when I tried to leave and start my own business, and failed, I had no choice but to go back. Except now, it's different. I'm no longer that girl everyone looked at the moment I walked in. And admitting that hurts. Now, when I walk back into a nightclub, I can see that the industry doesn't wait for anyone. The younger girls arrived. They shine brighter. They speak louder. And the clients, well, they follow the shine. Me? I've become almost invisible. The few people who used to look for me are gone, each one scattered in a different direction, while I'm standing still in the middle of the road. The money doesn't come like it used to. The attention isn't the same. And no matter how hard I try, I can't bring back what's already gone. Now, even if I panic, it won't help. All I can do is take one step at a time. Accept that life doesn't rewind, it only offers new paths, even when those paths lead us right back to the place we tried so hard to escape. But I still believe one thing. If I don't completely give up, if I keep fighting, even tired, maybe tomorrow will hurt a little less than today. So, stay strong. Even when it hurts.
去夜场上班的女孩最后都怎么样了？这是我最近在
What happens to the girls who end up working in nightlife? This was a question I saw recently on a Chinese Q&A platform. The person asking was a 20-year-old girl. She said she felt completely unaccomplished at her age. Her former best friend had already bought a house, and that same friend invited her to work with her in the nightlife industry, saying it pays really well. The girl herself spent a lot, around 5,000 yuan a month, and with her salary, she could never save anything. Last month, her cat got sick and needed for treatment. She couldn't even come up with 1,000 yuan. She asked several friends to lend her money, but everyone refused with different excuses. In the end, she had to borrow the money from her mother. She said she didn't want to keep living like this. Reading that reminded me of a girl I once knew. Back then, she was the most beautiful girl in our school. Fair skin, perfect body, and 2 dimples that appeared every time she smiled. She had learned piano and dance since she was a child, so anytime we had a school performance, she was the star. When we were in the first year of middle school, boys from the second and third year were already trying to pursue her. In the beginning, she was academically decent, not top of the class, but definitely above average. But after she started dating a third-year boy, her grades plummeted. By the time we entered the second year, she was already among the bottom 10 students in the class. In the second year, that boyfriend graduated, and another third-year boy started chasing her. She ended up getting pregnant. She didn't get an abortion until she was already 3 or 4 months along. Her parents and teachers never found out, but most of the students at school did. After that incident, she started smoking, drinking, dyeing her hair, and hanging out with delinquents outside of school. When we entered high school, I heard she had started working as a hostess on the famous KTV street in our city. Later, when I entered college, I lost contact with everyone and didn't hear anything about her again. It wasn't until recently, when an old classmate came to visit, that I found out she now works in nightlife. That classmate had become a police officer and had already arrested her twice. He sighed and said, If she were younger, she could at least become a rich man's mistress. Now she doesn't even stand out among the working girls anymore. She's covered in wrinkles. You wouldn't even recognize her. I'm not the type to give people life advice. But when I saw that 20-year-old girl thinking about entering the nightlife industry just because she's short on money, I felt like I had to say something. Yes, nightlife pays well. You don't need to doubt that. But that environment can completely destroy a person. Because in nightlife, money comes too easily. And I'm not exaggerating. A girl at age 20 only needs to lower her moral standards little by little to earn more. The problem is, once your moral standards begin to fall, they never come back. At first, you might work in nightlife without drinking. But soon you'll notice that the girls who drink with clients earn 3 times as much. Your income depends on how much alcohol you bring to the table. So you drink. Just a little, you say. But eventually, it becomes every night. At first, you don't let clients touch you. But then you realize the big brothers are smart. The girl who lets them touch her sells more bottles. And earns more money. If you don't meet the quota, you get fired. And without hitting your targets, you can't even earn the 5,000 yuan base salary. So you give in. At first, you say your bottom line is, I'll never go home with a client. But then you realize many of them come precisely for that. If you refuse, they stop asking for you. And your income dries up. When you're broke, you start thinking, maybe just once. Later, you see the other girls driving Porsches. You ask how they earned that, and they tell you the truth. Money from the nightclub is pennies. The real money is in the hotels. And suddenly, the line you promised yourself never to cross is right in front of you, and your foot is already halfway over it. In the end, the scariest part is not the nightlife itself, but the hidden rules, and your moral boundaries collapsing piece by piece. For a woman, selling her body is indeed the fastest way to make money. But that path destroys your sense of value. Makes you despise honest jobs that pay only a few thousand a month. Makes you think earning 1,000 yuan in one night is normal. As long as you drink enough and forget what happened. To the girls who are thinking about entering nightlife, I want to say, either you kill this idea forever, or you jump directly into the deepest pit from the beginning. Because if you enter, sooner or later, you'll walk all the way down anyway. You might as well make money while you're still young, as people in that circle say. But that is the cruelest lie of all. Because after youth is gone, all that remains is regret. Looking at this 20-year-old girl's situation. She has no education. She earns 5,000 but spends 8,000. No one lends her money. And her desire to consume is greater than her ability to earn. A girl like this entering nightlife will inevitably get trapped. Because the black hole of consumption never fills. And your social circle determines your destiny. Spend 6 months in an environment like that. And you become exactly like the environment. You can see it on social media. Women shaking their hips in clubs, showing off their divorce certificates like trophies. If you hang around people like that long enough, you become a copy of them. If a 20-year-old girl enters nightlife because a 5,000 yuan salary isn't enough, it's only a matter of time before she starts selling her body for a luxury bag. Of course, there are always those girls who won't listen no matter what you say. They'll always respond with something like, I may smoke, drink, get tattoos, fight, hang out with older men, work in nightlife, and go out with clients. But I'm still a good girl. Men are shallow. They only see appearances. That's why they miss out on good women like me. And get heartbroken by fake ones. Only women can tell who is truly real.
你有没有刷到过这种夜场工作的 vlog？ 每个女孩睡到自然醒，晚上
Have you ever come across those videos about working in the nightlife scene? The ones where every girl wakes up naturally at noon, puts on flawless makeup, films herself in the mirror wearing something sexy, and adds a motivational caption like, working hard, living well, making money honestly. I used to think no one would admire that, but to my surprise, a whole group of young girls shows up asking how to get into the industry. Big sis, teach me, take me with you. When I see that, my feelings become very complicated. Because those videos send a very clear message. That nightlife work is easy, that you can make big money quickly, and that it's positive, glamorous, and full of freedom. But reality? These girls who have just stepped into adulthood can't tell the difference between a real opportunity and a carefully designed trap. And with the overwhelming influence of the internet, they easily form unrealistic expectations about real life. Is nightlife work really as effortless, free, and glamorous as it looks in those videos? The real nightlife means wearing revealing clothes every night, drinking with complete strangers, adjusting yourself to their moods, and inevitably inhaling secondhand smoke all evening. You don't know who these people really are. You don't know if they're safe. You don't know if they have bad intentions toward you. And the nightclub security? Their job is not to guarantee your personal safety, that's not what they're there for. Once you enter this circle, even if you realize this is not the life you want, leaving becomes almost impossible. Because nightlife isn't just a high-risk industry. It's an industry that is extremely difficult to escape. Most women who have worked in nightlife find it very hard to return to a normal life once they leave. The financial gap between fast nightlife money and regular wages often pushes them toward an even deeper abyss. In this world, nothing comes for free. As Marie Antoinette once said in Queen Margot, "I was far too young to know that every gift fate gives already has a price hidden in the shadows." Quick money may bring temporary satisfaction, but it almost always comes with a much heavier cost. I truly hope that when young girls come across these types of videos, they can look at them with reason, not with romanticization.
When I was in college, I absolutely loved going to nightclubs. And loved it to what extent? By the second semester of my freshman year, I had already moved out to live on my own, just to have more freedom. Almost every night I would go to the second round of the D-Char bars, and ending the night at Haydelu early in the morning was basically routine. Now, looking back, I honestly wonder how a girl in her early 20s had that much energy. Drinking like that every day, coming home at dawn, and still expecting to have the mindset to go to class. The truth? I almost never did. I would either stay home sleeping, or drag myself to the classroom just to sign attendance, only to sleep on the desk afterward. This went on for a full month, until everything started turning against me. People at the university began talking. Rumors spread fast. Some said I was too wild. Others openly called me immoral. As if going out to drink was some kind of unforgivable sin. And the worst part? My boyfriend at the time believed all of it and broke up with me. He said he didn't want to date a girl like that. I thought none of this would affect me. But it did. A lot. I missed so many classes that I ended up repeating the year. In fact, I repeated 2 years in total. While I thought I was living the best years of my life, real life was slipping further and further away from me. Until one day, out of nowhere, I simply didn't want to go out anymore. I didn't want to drink, didn't want the nightlife, didn't want any of it. It was like I finally woke up from a stupid dream, or a nightmare disguised as freedom. In my final year, my life finally started getting back on track. I completely distanced myself from those people and those places. And looking back, I realize how naive I was. Thinking that being invited out every night meant I had some kind of social status. I thought drinking a lot meant I had great social skills. I thought showing up in the same clubs made me understand the rules of the game. But now I see how empty that really was. Going out to have fun is not the problem. The problem is believing it gives you value. While you throw away your routine, your education, and your future, the cruel part is realizing that all the time wasted in youth turns into a debt. And that debt must be repaid with double the effort once you enter the real world. Now I understand. If you spend one day drifting, while someone else spends one day studying and working, at first you won't see any difference. In 3 days, still nothing. In 7 days, nothing. But after 1 month, the conversations change. After 3 months, the energy shifts. After 6 months, the gap becomes obvious. And after 1 year, you're already living completely different lives. Don't waste your time when you're young. Don't always choose the easiest path. Society will never slow down to wait for you. And in the end, where you end up depends entirely on how much effort you put in. Have dignity. Because when you live off drinking for free, you have no idea what the people paying the bill actually think of you.
那些做了夜场的女孩子
So what happens to those girls who worked in nightlife? Where do they usually end up afterward? Today, let's talk about that. In general, most of them, after saving up a certain amount of money, try to start a business on their own. Opening a clothing store, a nail salon, or even a bubble tea shop. But because they lack financial knowledge, management skills, and any real marketing strategy, most of them end up losing every cent they earned. There's another group as well. To get into higher-end venues, they get breast implants, hip implants, cosmetic surgery on their faces, spending every bit of their nightlife income on their bodies. And yes, they do manage to enter these higher-class clubs. But once inside, no one chooses them. With no demand, they are forced to go back to the cheaper clubs they worked at before, just to survive. There's also a third type of girl who, after saving some money, moves to another city, finds a boyfriend, and tries to live a normal life. Usually, this boyfriend is handsome, but broke, lazy, and unmotivated. After 1 or 2 years, the money she saved is completely gone, spent by the boyfriend. Helpless and with no income, she returns to nightlife. But the money isn't as easy as it used to be. With no other option, she ends up getting involved in secret relationships with married men. In situations like this, she lives without morals, without boundaries, without principles. Which is why I say, brothers, stop trying to play the hero. Stop thinking you can save her if you just love her enough. Stay away from bars. Stay away from nightclubs. Stay away from nightlife girls. Live your life properly. Take care of yourselves. The new year is coming, remember this. Staying far away from that environment is always the best choice.
After hearing all these testimonies, it's obvious that nightlife is not just another job, and there's no point pretending it is. What we see, over and over again, is a predictable cycle. Young girls enter thinking they're just going to make quick money, but end up destroying their health, their self-esteem, their relationships, and any chance of building a normal life. And when they finally try to get out, they realize they no longer have the discipline, the patience, or the mindset to handle real life. The comparison is simple. While other girls their age are studying, building careers, gaining skills, and creating stability, these girls are trading their most valuable years for the illusion of easy money, which disappears the moment their youth fades. And what's left after that? Debt, a damaged body, addictions, failed relationships, weak health, a ruined routine, and a completely broken mindset. Anyone who enters thinking they found a shortcut finds out the hard way that there is no shortcut. And worse, the longer they stay in that environment, the harder it becomes to leave. Most of them go back to nightlife because they can't adapt to the real world, they can't accept earning less, they have no qualifications, and they're already addicted to the easy life, even if that life is miserable. And that's exactly why so many men get screwed thinking, she's different, she's not. Stop romanticizing it. Most of these girls don't believe in love, are emotionally burned out, psychologically unstable, and see men as transactions, not relationships. And if that offends anyone, too bad. It's reality. When you live in a place where everything revolves around money, appearance, manipulation, and alcohol, that mindset becomes part of you. The behavior changes, the priorities change. The emotional structure collapses. This is the rule, not the exception. And what's even crazier is seeing people say there's nothing wrong with working in nightlife. There is. There are physical, mental, emotional, and social consequences. It's a profession that drains everything. The body, the mind, the dignity, and the future. And the people who defend it the most are usually the ones who have never seen what happens to these girls after 25. Because after that age, the market is done with them, the attention disappears, the money dries up, the body retaliates, the health collapses, the psychological damage becomes obvious. Most of them become trapped in that lifestyle because there's nowhere else to go. And in the end, the same question always remains, was it worth it? Almost always, the answer is no. But even after all this, there will always be someone saying, but the one I know is different. Sure, there's always someone naive enough to test their luck. But reality hits everyone eventually and the bill always comes due. And it's never cheap. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.